Call to order. Okay, so Mayor Marlowe and Commissioner Martin are not, neither one of them are going to be here. Commissioner Mazon is going to be about 30 minutes late. And with Commissioner Martin out, there could be a 2-2 tie on the votes. And this, we need any further advice and come from the attorney. So we're any voting
anything
that could possibly end up in a 2-2. We're going to be on the agenda. We're pulling 2 items. The Commissioner Mazon graduation item, which is number 1, and number 12, which is the legal services. So I need a
So moved. Second.
have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the audience? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Passes 3-0. We had Pastor Lowry do the invocation. If we can stand for that, and we'll do the pledge of allegiance afterwards. Amen. Commissioner Clark, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, sir.
And then on that note, with the passing of the veterans, I want to thank Mr. Clark for his service to our nation and all the other veterans. Okay, we go to public announcements. If there's anybody that wishes to speak on anything regarding something they have in mind for the 2 minutes, you can come forward. Hello.
Is the mic on?
It's a green button.
Mic on?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, thank you for allowing me to come in front of the commission. My name is Jen Garrett. I'm running for County Commission District 3. I just wanted to take this chance to introduce myself to you and invite you to educate me more on what's going on with Newberry. To tell you a little bit about myself, I've lived in this county for 23 years. My husband and I moved here, like so many people do, to attend the University of Florida. I got my master's degree in design with a concentration in historic preservation. I worked as an architectural historian for several years, where I had experience working with DOT, working with private developers, working with Army Corps projects. Once I had children, and I have 3 children in the Alachua County public school system, 1 in high school, 1 in middle school, 1 in elementary school. So school safety is a top priority for me, as well as safe communities. I do now work in public art, so I do large-scale public art projects that you might have seen around town. In doing that, I have to take in the considerations of all the different types of people, all the different concerns that people have, the different people within a community, and unite them with a piece of art. I think that'll give me some great skills to be a county commissioner. It's very important to me that I establish good relationships with the leaders in the cities within the county. I think we should be working as a team. Newberry is under a tremendous time of growth. The DOT split of 26, there's going to be a lot of change with that. There's so many development projects going on. It's my intention as a county commissioner to make sure that our county stays focused on infrastructure. We have to fix the roads. There are a lot of other priorities, and I would love to have a conversation with each of you to hear about what your priorities are and how we can work together.
Thank you. Do you have a website or?
I do, and I'm sorry that I forgot to tell you that. That was probably the most important part. So you can email me at jenng4district3@gmail.com. That is JENNGFORADISTRICT, and then the number 3@gmail.com. Every time I do that at one of these, it feels like the spelling bee. I'm not a great speller, but hopefully you can figure in that one.
Where was you raised at?
I grew up in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and, yes, Lee is there. I grew up in the valley, but I drove up on the mountains quite a bit. Honestly, my husband and I wanted to move here because I hate the cold. So I'm running because I love this community. We chose to stay here after we graduated. It seemed like a great place to raise kids, and for the most part it is. We've had a lot of changes in the past 3 years. We've all been through a lot, and things are changing quickly, and I felt like this is the most important time to get active at a local level. I feel like that's where I can make the most difference.
Well, thank you for introducing yourself.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, I've known Jen and her husband Tim for a lot of years, and the new sculpture that's right outside of the Celebration Point Lasher County Visitors, or the sports facility that they have, she did that.
Oh, nice.
So she's very, very, very involved in the public art situation. I know she will listen to what we have going on
Well,
here.
we have our new commission, our new city hall, and we might need some art for it. Huh?
Might be.
Any other public announcements? Seeing none, let's go to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Is there any discussion or comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and all opposed. Passes 3-0. Next on the agenda is the public hearings and ordinances and the amendment to Avalon Woods Development Agreement. It's a quasi-judicial hearing. This is the first and only reading on this. If the attorney would advise us as to quasi-judicial procedure.
Glad to do. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, we are entering into a quasi-judicial procedure at this point. That means the commission stops being a legislative body and becomes a judicial board, and will follow certain rules to adhere to a different standard of decision-making. The primary rule that we must follow concerns the testimony, and of course, we need substantial and competent evidence, and that's the standard that we have when you make your decision. All public testimony will be taken under oath. Everyone testifying will be subject to cross-examination. All documents and exhibits shall be entered into evidence. Giving opinion testimony is limited to the experts. Closing arguments will be limited to the evidence of record. In a moment or two, our clerk will have everybody stand up and be sworn in, and that's for both items that are quasi-judicial on the dais for consideration this evening. And then I read into the record the ordinance or resolution. Of course, this is, first item is simply a developer agreement, so the appropriate motion will be to pass the development agreement between the city and Avalon Woods Development. At this point, we'll have our clerk swear in any of the witnesses, so if you intend to testify or speak about this matter or the second matter on the agenda, if you will stand, raise your right hand, and repeat after our clerk.
Jump up press. Mike
David McCain.
Do you hereby swear affirm the testimony
At this stage, we need to disclose any ex parte communication, and so starting with you, Commissioner Rickey.
I have none also.
And with that, we are going to go through our presentation. Of course, at this point, we do our staff overview, and our applicant then presents, and then we'll go through the process. Go ahead, John Paul.
Oh, thank you. And my name is John Paul Perez with the Planning and Economic Development Department. I'm just waiting for the slides to come up, but the request before you tonight is a development agreement amendment with Avalon Woods. Each phase of development that we've approved, with that is an accompanying development agreement. And those development agreements are updated after each phase. Right now, Avalon Woods has received approval for phases 1A, 1B, 2, and 3. They've just recently submitted phase 4. Oh, awesome. It's progressing. And the agreement before you tonight is just an amendment to that agreement covering phases 1 through 3. And this is essentially memorializing that both parties agree that the conditions that were adopted as part of phases 1 through 3 have been resolved, and that the city is agreeing to pay $25,000 for the installation of the monument sign for Easton. And there is also a condition for $40,000 worth of playground equipment for the Easton Center that remain in the, oh, it's working, heck yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, so there is one additional condition for $40,000 to install playground equipment in the Easton Newberry Sports Complex Park. And that's essentially the agreement. It is consistent with the prior adopted mixed-use land development and consistent with the other development agreements, and consistent with the comp plan and the land development regulations, and we are recommending approval. The recommended motion is to approve the development agreement and authorize the city manager or their designee to execute the amended development agreement. That completes my presentation.
Mayor Pro Tem, we have no interveners. Nobody has requested intervener status. The public is entitled to comments for 3 minutes each. If any of the public intends to speak at this time now, this would be the time to do so. Seeing none, the applicant's subject to cross-examination, and staff may cross-examine any other intended speakers as well.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. The applicant's here to answer any questions. I'm waiving cross-examination.
Seeing none,
Is there any, oh, that didn't come back to us yet.
you can ask questions of the applicant if you intend to do so. Final argument can be made at this time if you intend to have any final argument. Seeing that, the standard is substantial and competent evidence, as we said earlier, and with that, you can deliberate and issue the appropriate motion and second, and we'll take it up for vote.
I was just curious, is this the final phase, or is there still more to come?
Great question. So there's phases 4, 5, and 6 remaining. 4 will be coming before the commission shortly. That's the plat, and that's for the residential portion. 5 will also be a residential portion. It may be broken up into like a 4A or 4B, so you may see phase 4 multiple times or phase 5 multiple times. And then phase 6 is their non-residential portion, where they're, and that's the southernmost end close to Watson, where they'll be doing really passive storage yard, and the Chris Torrance contractor building, as well as the mini storage from Lee Smith will be there as well. And Yeah, that's the essence of the remaining phases for Avalon
Okay,
Woods.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Mayor. So, there's not enough park equipment in the complex that we gotta put another 40,000 in?
I'm not sure what all it covers.
This is and I'll ask Brian Thomas, the director, to correct me, but I believe this is a leftover agreement from the original concept of Avalon Woods, and so we're carrying it forward just to make sure it gets fulfilled, the obligation, but it's not a newly created condition for them, so it's just one of the outstanding conditions that they are working with as they move through the development, so.
Is this something that's going to be completed before the next phase comes before us, or?
Great question. So the language is in here. Prior to completion of Phase 4 improvements, they'll do the 40,000 worth of equipment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to expand on that, their PD called for them to develop a recreational area within their development. And when they acquired the development, we had a conversation. Since they're next door neighbors with Easton, we agreed with their request, their suggestion, that they pay for some playground equipment, but we put it on our campus. So, that, as John Paul said, that was in the original development agreement. We just thought it was a better solution than having a neighborhood playground, 50 yards from a 110-acre recreation complex. But they're not selecting the equipment. They're providing the cash, and then Travis and his team will put it out for bid like we always do. They've already identified it was going to be on the southern side of the development, close to where we have the soccer fields now. Is where they found a spot in there. It's where it seems like moms like to have playgrounds that are pretty close for Jimmy to play on while Johnny's playing soccer. So we probably will have more than just the two playgrounds on the campus. There'll probably be a third playground somewhere on the campus so that the kids don't get too spread apart.
No pickleball courts for the elderly?
In the works.
I want to see you first there.
Yeah, golf course. So the city will advise the decision-making body as to applicable law?
And it is the substantial and competent evidence. And at this stage, all of the testimony has come before you and everything's in the record, so you can put a motion out in a second, and then we need to ask for public comment and then call it for a vote.
Motion second, any public comment?
Thank you, Commissioners. I'm Dave McDaniel, M3 Development. I wanted to make one clarification. Phase 6 is actually the land that is right surrounding on the north and south of the park entrance at 16th Avenue. And it is, right now, we have about 55 units that we could potentially build there. Our intention is to leave it undeveloped until commercial demand comes or doesn't come. And so we're going to keep the flexibility on that. But to be clear, that Phase 6 is actually the area north and south of the entrance into the park. And it goes all the way back to where Phase 3 starts. So it's about 16 acres of land that could go either single family or commercial. So just to be clear.
Any other public comment? Seeing none, I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, we're still in quasi-judicial for the next item, which is Dillon's Grove Phase 2B of their final plat. And if you would like, I'll go ahead and read that by title only.
Yes, sir.
Mayor Pro Tem Farnsworth, this is Resolution 2023-61 SD 23-11, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Newberry, Florida, approving the final plat entitled Dillon's Grove Phase 2B, consisting of 79 acres more or less, as authorized under Section 5.18 of the City of Newberry Land Development Regulations in a planned rural residential development, PRRD, zoning district on certain lands within the corporate limits of the City of Newberry, Florida, repealing all resolutions in conflict, providing an effective date at the appropriate time. The appropriate motion will be to pass resolution number 2023-61 SD 23-11. And at this point, we should inquire as to whether anybody on the board has any ex parte communications on this matter.
None.
And with that, staff will present.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. Again, John Paul Perez, Planning and Economic Development Department. There we go. Here in red is the location map for the subject property that is the subject of this request, which is for final plat of Phase 2B of Dillon's Grove. And this is an image showing the totality of the Dillon's Grove development. In black and white is the Phase 2B. And the red outline is Dillon's Grove in its whole. Current zoning is planned rural residential. Future land use is agriculture. Petitioner is Michael Lee Steinberg. And the Dillon's Grove, just to take you guys back in time, in 2002, Dillon's Grove was approved. At that time, they adopted a master plan with the rezoning. The image on the screen now is the master plan that was adopted at the time the rezoning was approved. Right is north, so left is south. We're looking on the right side is 15th Ave, on the left side is 30th Ave. I just wanted to point this out because the phasing lines have changed. When the Phase 2 construction plans were approved, there was some changing in the phasing lines. And so the Phase 2 that you saw before is a little bit different from the one that's before you tonight. In fact, there's multiple Phase 2s. This happens to be the second Phase 2, Phase 2B. And this is just an aerial image showing, again, some of the prior phases and the totality and future phases, as well as in cyan where Phase 2B is going to be on 30th Ave. Now, it's not going to have access on 30th Ave. It's only going to be access from 15th Ave, but it'll swing down to and then loop back up into the rest of the development. The total area of the plat is 79 acres. They're just requesting to plat this area. It's going to be an additional 19 developable lots for single family. Sorry, I'm just trying to work with this clicker here. Having some difficulty with it. And this is an image. This is the second page of the final plat where you can see just the layout of the streets and the lots. And with that, staff does find the request consistent with the comprehensive plan and land development regulations. And we are recommending approval of resolution 2023-61, also known as file number SD 2311. That completes my presentation. I'm available for any questions. The applicant is here. They don't have a presentation to go along with this, so yeah.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, there's no interveners. Nobody's requested intervener status. And Michael, you're entitled to cross-examine anything that John Paul has said, and John Paul will be able to cross-examine anyone who testifies further. Unless anyone from the public intends to speak, this is the time for them to do that at this stage, Mr. Chair. Seeing none, then we move forward to final arguments. Michael, do you want to make any final argument?
Not really an argument. I just wanted to say it's been, through all the phases, it's been a pleasure working with the City of Newberry on it, and it's been an honor to have the development in the city, and it's our final phase, and when I finish it, I'm 100% retired. I'll be back. But thank you.
He's living in North Carolina half the time and down here half the time, so life is good for him.
Are we ready for?
We're ready. At this stage, we have the substantial and competent evidence standard, and you all can deliberate and put a motion on the floor, have the public speak, and then call up your motion for a vote.
I just got so JP and Mr. Steinberg, thank you. So none of this is going to go out on 30th?
No.
And everything to the front, there ain't but 19 lots in this phase?
In this particular phase, yes.
So none of this requires no kind of add-on on 15th, or everything's good on the road for the county? Because I know the county ain't going to fix nothing. So I want to make sure that
No,
the road and everything's good out front, everything's,
I mean, 15th Ave is not in good shape, but.
well, it's not like 30th. I was going to say, if it goes out on 30th, I think, he would have to sell a lot to fix that, because
Yeah.
the county's not, evidently. So I want to just make sure that 15th is nice right now in front of Dillon's Grove. There's turn lanes and all, but adding these lots, that's all we need?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, yeah.
With that, you can put a motion on the floor if you'll so choose.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion second. Any other comments from the citizens? Seeing none, I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0.
He said it back in North Carolina.
Just like Mike Moore will be giving a presentation regarding the solid waste collection services agreement.
Just in time.
Just in the nick of time.
Mr. Mayor, or Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I withdraw my request to postpone the item until the city's counterparty gets here. They've just walked into the room. So, Mr. Mayor, this is the Solid Waste Collection Services Agreement item. We have discussed it a couple of times in public meetings. I think the initial conversation was in June, and we're at the end of a 7-year base contract with Waste Pro that was bid back in 2016 or 17, and 17. It was bid in 2017. 7 years that we're allowed to do two 5-year extensions. And so we're at the end of that time. In June, the commission asked us, or directed us to see if we could negotiate an extension with Waste Pro. We had a number of meetings with them. We came back and reported to the commission that, what the prices had offered. There are substantial increase that was offered up. It was a stepped-in increase, but the increases were in the 70 to 90% range. Pretty substantial increases. However, staff had also checked the market to see what the bid market's looking like, what other communities like ours are, and the prices that we had negotiated with Waste Pro were at market or better. So, the two that we primarily look at are our closest neighbors, High Springs and Alachua. And so we discussed it with the commission in October, and the commission asked us to take one more opportunity to have that conversation with Waste Pro, where they essentially selected a two-time-a-week offering, but asked Waste Pro to, instead of a 3-step-in period, to offer a 4-step-in period, and they did. In your backup material, that would be what you see as option 5. So option 1 and option 5 really are just hybrids of whether it's 2 times a week or once a week, in different step-in periods. But Waste Pro came back with option 5 that staff analyzed, and over the life of the contract will be the low-cost option for our customers. So we just ran the math on it for the entire 5-year period of the extension, and option number 5, twice a week pickup. Well, obviously, once a week pickup would be less expensive, but in the past, the commission hadn't saw that savings as a substantial enough savings to go that route. And I'm sorry, and that's just confusion on my part. In the staff report, it's called option 5. In the presentation, because I guess I was a knucklehead, is the only thing I can come up with for doing it is called option 3. So can we get to that?
Come on, knucklehead.
There's background information. There's option 1 and 2, and then there's one more option. Whoop, went too far, right there. Bottom of the page, option 3, with the 4 steps, one in October of 24, one in April of 25, one in October of 25, and then the last one in April of 2026 is the low-cost option for Newberry's residential customers. The proposal that Waste Pro has given us for non-residential commercial is essentially a unit cost per ton of garbage, and it depends on the container size and the frequency, but it's a flat rate across the board for all non-residential, and it corresponds to what they've proposed to us. So staff's recommendation, the commission has the option of putting the service out for bid, although I will advise the commission that we had initially had a 9-month period to do bidding, because whoever the successful bidder would be, if it's someone other than Waste Pro, would have to acquire carts, would have to acquire trucks and things like that. So there's just that period of time to get set up. Normally, we have a 9-month window to do the bidding services. We're a little shy of that now, so it'll be tight schedule. I won't say it's an impossible schedule, but if the commission elects to go to bid for those services, I'd say we need to make it a priority and go as fast as we can. If the commission's interested in an extension, we recommend the last option 3 on this sheet, and that concludes my presentation. We do have members from Waste Pro here. Dana Miller and Nate are here. They can answer any questions that you have of them.
Commissioner, have any questions?
Yeah. Actually, I wish I should have called Mike before.
Yeah, Mike,
So you did a kind of like a survey on some other competitors?
Correct.
And
Market analysis. This is still cheaper than any of the folks in our service area.
no-brainer to me.
Would the commission like to make a motion?
I got one more.
Okay.
Mike, so this extension's a 5-year?
5-year extension. And then we'll have an opportunity for one more 5-year extension at the conclusion of this one.
And at this increase, at the 2.5-year mark, there are no more increases?
No, sir. After that, it's a CPI. There's a cost index, so a year after the April of 2026, we will we'll pull out the CPI for solid waste services, and it'll say it's 2.5%, very similar to how we do our utility rate increases, water and wastewater. We'll agree that that's the right value, and then we'll apply that to our rates when we go through our budget process, is what we anticipate would happen, is it just happens every year annually during the budget process like all of our other services do. Good evening.
So we really didn't save no money, we just extended out the raises, or the cost increases.
Correct, we
Because we're
stepped them
still at
in.
28 on year 2, 28 at year 2, and at 2.5, 6 months later, it goes up again, so there's really no savings on the,
Correct.
you couldn't beat nobody down.
When I took that is correct. I mean, I'd say this started at well above 30.
Yeah.
So the beating down occurred prior to this all getting compiled in a table. But we ran the math out on all these and believe that the last option that the commission asked us to go back and pursue is the most cost-effective for our ratepayers.
Mike, is the contract take into consideration our collection of the money? I mean, in the beginning, when we first entered a contract with Waste Pro, they were collecting their own fees. So now the city has started that, did that, and then we pay them a lump sum every month, I'm guessing, so.
Correct.
Taken into consideration?
The city does the billing for our customers that are in our utility service area, the ones that we're sending a monthly billing to. We bill those on that same bill, and the rates that we bill to them includes essentially postage and handling. It's a minor upcharge for our processing of that. The rest of our customers that receive this service, Waste Pro bills directly. I know a certain resident that lives out on Northwest 78th Avenue that takes the service, and I write a monthly check to Waste Pro. So it just depends on where you live. If you're in a utility service area, we bill you, and we receive a minor adjustment to the billing rate to account for the effort of sending a bill. And if you're outside of that area, then Waste Pro does the billing.
Are the people outside of the proper city, are they required to use Waste Pro?
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, they are not by direction from the City Commission. So if the City Commission wants to reevaluate that, I would tell you that, and I've told you before, statewide and countywide, there's a presumption that people in municipalities are getting curbside service. So it's pretty unique to have such a large rural area where there are people that don't pay one way or the other. Because if you're in unincorporated Alachua County and you don't get curbside service, the county charges you for use of the rural collection center. Our rural residents are not charged for use of the rural collection centers. But that's kind of independent of this contract, but it's something for the commission to be aware of, and if they ever want to address it, we'll have that conversation.
Well, I know inflation's kicking, but, well, I'll take for me, I'm gonna take the staff's advice, and Mike has done the analysis, because I was ready to go for bid, but, you say that the market bears what the market bears, and, I just hate to see a 100% increase over 5 years for, and I know inflation's high, but what happens when inflation comes down? When gas comes down, when everything comes back down? Are we gonna adjust the taxpayer, the rates here?
Well, once we hit the CPI portion of the agreement,
Yeah.
annual adjustment by CPI, presuming the CPI is ever negative, we would adjust it negative. I'm sure that would be a lively conversation, and there would be plenty of reasons why there might be resistance to that, but I'd sure go for it.
Well, I was just talking about with the current, you started out in
Understood.
2021.
Right. I would say that the price that we received in 17 when this went to bid stunned everyone. We've been running about $3 a month lower than anybody for the entire 7-year duration of this contract. And I presume that Waste Pro made money. They just might not have made the margins that they make with other customers. And they felt like they couldn't continue to be working on such slim margins. But what we're agreeing to here is closer to what staff sees as market. It's not something that's above market, that there's an opportunity for Waste Pro to make up what they might not have received for 7 years. That is correct. We get good service.
We get good service. Okay, I'm on change then. I was, going out for bid, but I will take for me personally, I'll take the direction of staff that the market analysis bears it. And so
Any other discussion from the commission?
Motion.
Motion and second. Is there any comment from the public regarding this matter? You don't have to if you don't want to.
I'm fine, unless they have questions.
Mike putting pressure on you, don't worry about it. So all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes 4-0. And
Thank you very much.
you can't talk now, ma'am.
Kick her out of here.
Yeah, you had your chance. Travis Parker?
Mr. Parker has another obligation tonight, and so I'm pitch hitting for him, if you can stand me for one more presentation.
Sure.
So this item is architectural design services contract. And recommended action is to authorize the city manager to execute a contract and authorize the city manager to execute change orders up to 10% of the contract amount. And I just tell the commission, well, I'll give you the background. Our CIP that the commission adopted has a number of projects that will be hiring design services. It's a professional services that's covered by the Competitive Consultants Negotiation Act up to a threshold. So what we've done with, say, utility projects or roadway projects is we went out for engineering services for a pool. And we got a pool of engineers, and I think the city commission approved contracts with 8 or 9 engineering firms. And when a project comes up and y'all say, Jamie, go out and design a road, he'll pull who he thinks is most qualified or who hasn't had work lately. They'll give us a proposal, and we bring the contract before you for that task. And you say, we approve a $95,000 task order to go design this road. We don't have something similar for architectural services. But we desire it because our CIP has enough projects that require architectural design services. So what we'd like to do is establish a pool under a contract, and since the city of Gainesville recently bid the exact same services that we would be bidding, the state allows, as state law gives us the provisions of piggybacking their bid. So they did the bid, and they've had a number of architectural firms under contract, more than we would ever need. So we would like to take that bidding that they let and the contracts that they have with just the Gainesville-based architectural firms, and we'd like to put together basically a contract pool of architect services. You'll remember for City Hall, we did a RFP for architectural services, and we ended up with. But with the number of projects that are coming down the pipes, we think it'd be better to work from a pool and have 4 or 5 architectural services available for us. And we found this was the most streamlined way, that Gainesville had put together a very good bid document, and that the people that had subscribed to it and had contracts were willing to extend their contracts to Newberry. So that's the proposal before you tonight, is that you authorize staff to bring back contracts. They're just general services contract. They're not specific to any projects for architectural services. If we use one of them, we'll bring the task order back to the commission that specifically outlines the work and the cost associated with that work.
So, Mike,
Go ahead.
would this eliminate RFPs then, is what you're saying?
It could eliminate RFPs. If we feel like that it needs to go to a special RFP, and I'll give you an example. When the wastewater plant project came up, none of the engineering firms in our design pool was really well qualified to take on a project of that magnitude. And so Jamie issued an RFP for it. But many projects come up that we have 9 consulting firms that could jump right on it, and it allows us to bid those services one time and then utilize them very quickly rather than go through the RFP process for every individual project.
And how does the these people get into the pool, are they invited into the pool, or do they submit a
It-
application to be in the pool? Or
They submitted a proposal, and in this case, they submitted it to Gainesville's request. They submitted proposals to Gainesville, and Gainesville ranked them and then issued contracts to multiple firms. And we're going to take the multiple firms that are Gainesville-based, and we're going to extend contract offers to them, essentially the same contract they have with the city of Gainesville, that essentially says, we'll give you a task order, we meet the minimum criteria, we'll give you a task order with a proposed cost and work scope for any project that you ask us to.
So this eliminate any kind of firm out of Orlando or Ocala or anything like that?
Well, we would, if we use a pool architect, it would eliminate anybody that's not in the pool. Once you have a contract from us, we could pull you straight off of the pool, the grouping, and ask you to submit a proposal without any further solicitation for services.
Yeah, you were saying the Gainesville had all theirs based in Gainesville.
Well, they have multiple firms, some based in Gainesville and some based outside of Gainesville. We propose to get only the Gainesville-based firms. We just don't do enough projects to warrant having a statewide list. We're going to do 3 or 4 architectural design projects a year, not 30.
Okay.
Need a head nod or?
So, no, recommended action is to authorize the city manager to execute contracts with firms and execute change orders up to 10%.
Mike, with this, putting this architect online
Yes, sir.
that you have, when we went out, didn't we do a CM too? We had a pool or no?
We did not. CM is a separate service.
I know it is.
So we did
Don't we have a pool though?
we do not, but that would be the next thing that comes before you. The University of Florida has a CM contract and a pool of CMs, and we anticipate they're going to be utilizing those services quite a bit in the next 5 years, and we plan to do a similar pool for CM services.
Okay. I thought, I know it's, wasn't it on the city hall?
Correct.
We had the bids going out, and then we were
did.
talking about putting 1, 2, and 3 and ranking our own CMs, or
Correct.
are we going to go out and?
We specifically asked for a CM service for City Hall as opposed to for a general pool.
Yeah.
Because that's what we needed at the time. But when we were having the conversation and when we ranked those firms, the commission suggested that we do a general pool for CMs, and we intend to do so.
Okay.
It's just getting them all stacked up and going through the process.
Okay. That's all I got.
Any other discussion from the commission? Would anybody like to propose
Motion to
a motion? I have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, none.
Thank you,
Passes
Mr. Mayor.
4-0. Next is Brian Thomas with Newberry Ag Tech Business Plan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair Pro Tem. Recently, the city put out a request for proposals for a feasibility study for the Agritech incubator. Basically, find qualified vendor to do the work to conduct the feasibility study for the incubator, and then once that's complete, develop a business plan for the incubator. We had 3 respondents: Accel Innovation, Place Dynamics, 3 Points Planning. And then we had an evaluation committee take those proposals, go through them, read all of them, and then rank the respondents according to those proposals. And so out of those 3, Accel Innovation had the highest point total. They were all fairly close. They were all actually probably highly qualified and could all do the work, do a good job. It was just the evaluation committee felt that the Accel was the most qualified and had a lot of experience with business incubators, working with directly with business incubators and the creation of them. And so recommended action be to approve the vendor selected by the evaluation committee and then authorize, there we go, one too far, authorize city manager or designee to exercise and execute an agreement for services for the feasibility study and the business incubator business plan.
So Brian, who is on the evaluation committee?
That would be Gina Master de Casa with IFAS, city manager New, and myself.
Any questions or any comments from the commission?
So what's Axel or XL or whatever, what's the cost going to be there?
The RFP had a value not to exceed $80,000. They came in, I believe, around $76,000. The other two came in right at $80,000. The majority of the project is going to be funded by two grants that we received, one from Duke for $20,000 and the other from the USDA for $55,000.
One other thing, well, she kind of did opposite of y'all, and she's really involved in agriculture. What was the, I worked with her quite a bit back when I was at the county, when I was the ag guy. I mean, can you just give me y'all's feelings on those?
Yes, sir. Manager New and I asked her the same thing because she did kind of go opposite of what we were thinking. She liked certain aspects of the proposal that she thought it was a little bit more tailored to the proposal at hand. I think Manager New and I don't want to speak for him, but I know when I was looking at which companies had the most experience in actual development of business incubators, and I just felt like Excel had far and above more direct experience with the creation of business incubators.
That's all I got.
Well, you answered the questions I had. The money was one, and how much we were going to spend. So what they're going to do is the business development's going to come out of this company, and they're going to try to find us somebody to be the incubator, or they're just going to give us a study of what it's going to take to put in the incubator.
Mr. Chair, the feasibility study sort of lays the groundwork for what comes after it. Without a feasibility study, it makes it very difficult to then go seek funders, investors in the project. But with a feasibility study in hand that shows that, yes, this endeavor could be supported in the local environment, then it makes it that much easier to get those investors involved.
Would someone like to make a motion?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion from Commissioner Clark. Second motion from Commissioner Farnsworth. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Passes 4-0. Mr. Jones.
Me and Mr. Jones.
Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, the item we have before you now is request for change number 6 to perform additional pipe work on Southwest 258th Street to the Newberry 337 water main project. You may recall the Southwest 258th water main project was identified in our CIP and funded in the previous 2 years' budgets. First year for surveying, design, and permitting, and this year for construction. We had estimated originally that the cost for survey, engineering, and design was $35,000 with an estimated construction cost of $250,000 for the project. It basically installs an 8-inch water main on Southwest 258th Street from Southwest 15th Avenue north to the high school, and it eliminates an existing water main that runs through the ag plot and from 260th all the way over to 258th. The design's complete, the permitting is complete, surveying is complete. We were ready to go to bid. Well, due to the fact that we've got an existing contractor mobilized and has been working on the 337 water main project, they're substantially complete with that. They're dealing with punch list items and whatnot and cleaning up now. We had a conversation with them as what kind of pricing and if there would be any advantage to having them perform the work since they're already mobilized and working in Newberry. And they came back and identified that there would be. So the recommended action tonight is to authorize the city manager to execute request for change number 6, including owner direct purchasing terms and conditions, in the amount of $123,023.77 for a total of the change order with Andrews Paving, Inc. for the Newberry 337 water main project, and authorize the city manager to approve change orders not to exceed 15% of that contracted amount. As you can see, there is a substantial savings over what we had forecasted to spend to construct this water main originally by using a contractor that's already mobilized.
How much was it, Jamie?
$123,023.77 for them to perform the work while they're mobilized. We had originally forecasted the project construction to be $250,000.
150, so save about 50%.
Do it.
So what's going to become of the leftover money, Jamie?
Goes back into the utility reserve fund to fund other construction projects or whatever the commission wishes to do within the water utility.
We'll probably pave a road.
I want to buy you a unicycle with mine.
As a reminder, paving roads is a general fund. This is a water utility issue.
Well done, Jamie.
Good job, Jamie.
All right, any
Thanks for the saving, Jamie. That's good. That's awesome.
other commissioner? Have a motion second. Any comments from the public or questions from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Pass 4-0. Mr. Dallas leaves up.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem Commission, I'm here tonight to spend the money that Jamie just saved you.
We're going to go through the whole staff tonight, don't we?
All except for Travis, who
Bail.
bailed on us.
We don't even have a mayor elaborating.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners, recommended action tonight on this item is to authorize the city manager to engage Carr, Riggs, and Ingram, also known as CRI, for construction auditing services utilizing the Broward County School Board's agreements. Alternative motions would be to direct the staff to prepare and advertise a request for qualifications for construction auditing services or take no action. There's no requirement for you guys to hire a construction auditor, but we'll go through why staff believes it's the best option for us. So first, to go through the difference between the construction auditor services and the external auditor. Your external auditor, which is currently Purvis, Gray and Company, Barbara and Kevin, who come every year to speak to you. Their goal and role is to issue an opinion on our financial statements and to provide assurance to the commission that management is in compliance with accounting standards and regulatory requirements. They focus mainly on our financial records, balance sheets, and internal controls. And again, their main focus is auditing your management and how we account for things. Construction auditor, on the other hand, his main focus is on a contractor, a construction contractor, focusing on contractual compliance, billing accuracy, project management. They do such things as validating payment applications, auditing closeout process, and they're on board during the process of a contract, construction project. So they're part of the process going through, whereas our external auditors are only coming at the very end after everything's been completed. So we're recommending the commission authorize us to hire a construction auditor for a few reasons. The first is we have several large construction projects planned over the next several years, the largest of which is the wastewater treatment plant, which as of my last count has 14 different funding agencies and agencies involved in the project. So there's a lot of construction, a lot of contract management that has to go into that. The cost of a construction audit is relatively inexpensive in the grand total of the project, usually less than 1% of the project cost. Construction auditors have specific knowledge related to construction, related to contracting. They provide an additional professional level of oversight over the contractor. So it's not just city staff who's having to monitor the contractor. We have a group of professionals who's also watching out for us. They can identify and mitigate financial risks, and they work hand in hand with your financial auditors, your external financial auditors, which will make the financial auditor's job easier when they're auditing us because that large construction project has already been audited. So there's 3 phases to the engagement letter for a construction auditor. The first is bid and contract review. So the construction auditors will review the bid documents before we send them out to the public for contractors to bid on. They'll also be engaged in the contract negotiations, making sure that the contract is favorable to the city, ensuring that the bids that are turned in are mathematically correct, that the numbers used are appropriate, and they'll test those numbers to make sure the city is getting a good value for the project. Then during the project, they'll be a part of the payment application review. Payment application is essentially the invoices the contractor will be sending us. Especially with the wastewater treatment plant, these invoices are going to be large, millions of dollars a month for the construction. So the construction auditors will be a part of that process, verifying the applications, testing charges, vouching costs, making sure that if the vendor is charging us $65,000 for a piece of equipment, that piece of equipment exists and really did cost $65,000. Validating approvals and reviews, working as a liaison between the city and the contractor to address any discrepancies. And then the bulk of the work is the project closeout portion. So the construction auditor will assist with resolution of any disputes between ourselves and the contractor. They'll verify change orders and supporting documentation. They'll work with the city to verify any releases of lien to ensure that the subcontractors have been paid appropriately. They'll review the owner direct purchases, sample payroll, a number of things. The largest, most important thing they'll do on our behalf is they'll recalculate the total charges and the contract billings to ensure we've been billed appropriately in terms of the contract, haven't been overcharged or overpaid anything. And then they'll validate contract compliance. And again, our contract with the contractor for the wastewater treatment plant is going to have a lot of requirements in it due to all the funding agencies. So having this additional level of oversight will be really helpful for city staff.
I wonder why everything's so high.
So the staff has selected Carriggs and Ingram for a couple of reasons. They are a leader in the construction auditing field for local governments. They're a top 25 nationally ranked firm. They do have a local Gainesville office, and in their firm they have a construction auditing division that has a lot of experience. Over 100 accountants work in that division. We propose using a cooperative purchasing through Broward County School Board's contract. It has a very similar scope to what the city desires. Using this will allow us to quickly onboard CRI as the construction auditors. We're currently in the process of drafting and developing the bid documents for the wastewater treatment plant, so getting them on board would be very helpful. And when we were looking at who most places use as construction auditors, CRI won almost every single one, so they're clearly very qualified. They have provided us a cost proposal for the wastewater treatment plant. The high-end cost proposal was $180,000, which is 0.3% of the total construction cost. So while it's a fairly large chunk of change, I think for the reassurances and insurance that the construction auditor provides the city, it's well worth it. And then for City Hall, they proposed a high fee of $51,000. So they gave us a range, so these numbers are the top of those ranges. So with that, again, the recommended motion is to authorize the city manager to engage CRI for construction auditing services. Alternative motions are to direct staff to prepare an RFQ or to take no action, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
So you have this one construction auditing firm, it can do it can do the city hall, it can do the wastewater plant, it can do all the other projects?
Currently, they have just, yes, if you vote yes on this tonight, they can do all the projects. We've only asked them to look at City Hall and the wastewater plant project, but large project going forward, we could absolutely ask them to be engaged on.
And does the city audit the auditors?
So part of Purvis Gray's job will be to audit them. Your current external auditor is Purvis Gray.
Any questions from the commission?
My question is, every time, I know it's just different, but we just keep layering it up and layering it up. What's the construction manager? He can't do this?
So this
If he
contractor
cheats-
is auditing the construction manager to ensure
Then
the
we don't
city
need
doesn't.
him. I don't know, man. Do you think that there's value in having this kind of a CPA to run a construction manager? Is there that much fluff or risk of us? Mike's an engineer, is there that?
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, it's a $60 million project that is very complex. It's
Yeah.
the largest project the city's ever taken
Jamie's going
on.
to be here for 7 years, and I don't know that we need somebody like this. If Jamie's around, he just saved us $150,000. But no, I got it, boy, but this just seems like layer after layer.
Yeah, but what?
But it's the first I heard of the, when you get a construction manager and your engineer and your architects, and now we got somebody overlooking this, so just something new. I reckon it just kind of hits you in the head. But 60 million versus 180,000, right?
0.3%.
Yeah. Ain't very much money in total scheme of things, is it?
Why do we do
Probably save you money in the long run, actually.
They might. That's what I'm saying. Is there any proof in them that they find enough stuff that they kind of, that one guy said he could kind of pay for himself.
Hopefully the goal is no, right, that your contractor is doing everything above board.
But that's what this is,
But they
just an
have-
oversight committee.
It is oversight. They're verifying that if they're charging us for a blue widget, we're getting a blue widget. I did find a couple of examples of cities that either stopped doing something stupid because they had construction auditors, or found there was a school board in, I think, North Dakota that had overspent $100,000, and the construction auditor found it and was able to recoup it. But like I said, it's totally the commission's choice.
No, I know. It's just one of them things that goes like, wow, another one. We just keep.
How long has this been, how long have they been doing this?
Construction auditing?
Yeah, I don't have.
And it is required for school, it's in state statute that school boards have to complete it for certain level of projects. So you see it much more often in school boards. And the only reason we haven't brought it up before is because we've never had a project of this big. And we just want to make sure we do everything correctly, especially given the partners we have. It'll provide assurances to High Springs and Archer that the money they're spending is also being used appropriately, but.
Okay.
We might have been able to use them when we built the fire department. Might have been.
May have
might
saved
come
us
in
some
handy
heartache.
there.
Got bad stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
All right.
What's the heading on?
No, I think we
No, this is
got to have a motion.
I motion that.
Motion,
You motion it?
second, Mr. Coleman. Any questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Passes 4-0.
I'm sorry. Not paying any attention.
Mr. Lowry, good evening again.
What's going on?
Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, Attorney, City Clerk, I'm here tonight to present on Southwest 15th Avenue reconstruction project from State Road 45 to Southwest to 60th Street. The recommended action tonight is And thank you so much for clicking that for me. Recommended action is for approved design and authorize the city manager to proceed with bidding project when appropriate. Secondly, to authorize the city manager to transmit a letter to FDOT requesting inclusion of a traffic circle at State Road 45 and Southwest 15th Avenue intersection with their next road improvement project in the future.
That would really be good.
Our background is that the conceptual design, and by the way, before I go any further, I want to say that the designers are actually here, Sergio and Clay from EDA. They're here to support us on this project tonight. They're the ones who have designed this for us, and I appreciate their help along with the city manager. The conceptual design was prepared in 21 and also in 2022, and in January of 2023, the City Commission approved the conceptual design and authorized proceeding with the design and development for the construction plans. 95% of the plans have been completed, and there's a requirement for conveyance of 1.81 acres from the School Board of Alachua County, and that is in the works as we speak. The design criteria requires that there's going to be two 11-foot travel lanes, 11-foot turn lane. There's going to be angle parking that's going to be included, that is included in this design. That is 103 total spaces. Sidewalks on both sides of the street with street lighting, a retention basin west of Southwest 255th Street, including swales on the east side of 255th Street, and reconstruct of overall electric.
Preacher man.
Yes, sir.
This outside, this parking, that, on the road, that also helps slow traffic down.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Okay.
On the next slide, as you can see here, this is the projected limits from Southwest 15th Street, and showing that from all going over to 260th Street, that's from State Road 45 over to 260th. The distance is about 0.63, 3,300 linear feet. Right here in this slide here, we're showing a design where the proposed stormwater basin will be located. It's just west of 255th Street, 1.8 acres, or 1.81 acres.
Is that where the donkey's at?
Yeah,
That's where all the trees are.
that's where, by the softball field.
Where they were gonna put a little cross fields at. Okay.
On this slide, we're showing a plan view of the overall from State Road 45 down to 255th Street. And the next slide will show where we're going from 255th. Also included in that is another picture of where the stormwater basin will be located, and then over to 260th Street.
Wow, that's
The next two slides will be showing you the design. That is 95%, as I indicated already. 95% of that is already completed, and that will be, again, going from State Road 45 over to 260th. And you may notice at the 258th, where there's a little crook that's going up behind the track field over to 260th Street. That is part of the design.
That, there's a
Yes.
little curve there already.
Little curve and a little hill right there.
Is that planned on being a roundabout, or is there going to be a four-way stop, or what's going to be there?
It already is.
Or a three-way stop, I guess?
Yes.
Three-way now.
Yeah, it's a three-way. It already exists right there. Yeah, that road actually ends right at 15th Avenue, and the schoolyard is right across the street from that. So that road actually goes from 45 over to 260th, but 258th comes up by the school and by the field right next to it.
The FDOT segment, is that going to be something that you're going to do when we do this construction, or are they going to add that on later, or what is their plan?
I'll talk about that in a few moments and share that with you. In this next view, we're showing a plan view of what it looks like based on the design from EDA, and it shows you where you'll have 3 lanes, middle lane, all 3 lanes will be 11 foot. The middle lane is going to be a turning lane. There's going to be an area for landscaping, where you see the trees are, and then the drop down over to the left is where the proposed drainage pond is going to be located. And both sides, and then on the other side, there will be swales to help to eliminate any impoverishment with stormwater. Okay. This next slide that we have included here is showing the future development in the Coleman section, where it's going to go from 260th over to County Road 337. So that will be the next phase that will be a part of this construction project that will eventually go from State Road 45, US 227, all the way over to County Road 337. So that would be somewhat of a next phase in the future. That is going to be more than likely developed by M3 Development.
Mr. Chair, just to kind of jump in on that segment of road is west of the city cemetery on the land that we acquired from Mr. Coleman. That was designed by M3 Development, and they're going to construct that with Westone. So they're working on their Westone Phase 1 development plans now, and they will build this road segment when they begin construction on their residential housing development. We will participate in cost. I think we're going to pay about 20% of that roadway segment, and they're going to pay the balance as part of their development.
So is all of this going to be done at the same time?
No.
Pretty close.
Close, but not at the same time. It'll be a next segment.
No guarantees that it's going to be the same contractor, or no guarantees they're going to move at the same time. Once upon a time, we anticipated that the city would bid both segments, but the city would be taking on the lion's share of the cost. M3 is far enough along that they felt like that we all felt like it'd be in everybody's best interest if the developer that's working on the infrastructure for the housing development was in control of the contract for construction of this phase of the road. They anticipate it being constructed next summer, which is similar in timing to when we think the construction on the eastern segment will be.
Will he have to comply, Mike, or Mr. Lowry, just as this is just what we want to make everything match this type of roadway when we punch it all the way through?
And I'm going to explain that a little more.
Well, we've got an engineering done here. We got a drawing. We got curbs, swales. We got everything engineered here. Where we going to punch through? Is he going to do exactly like we are?
That design will come before this board before it goes to construction. So it wouldn't be exactly, because the street side parking, for example, won't be there, but it will be in keeping with this design.
Okay.
The lead on both of these projects has been Jamie
engineer?
And I. We have 2 different engineering firms working on it. We got a developer involved, but from your staff team, you got Jamie and his team, me, and so we're just able to, and Armin, and we're making sure that it's not inconsistent, won't be exactly the same, but it'll be consistently the same, and hopefully complete as close together as possible.
And with just saying that, I would just, in my vision only, and probably your vision too as staff, that when you leave one, You don't want to know you changed into something else.
And that is our intention as well.
You just want to flow
Correct.
with a nice landscape, swells, ditches, sidewalks, all the same look.
This is for a point of reference, so that you're aware that we are actually doing something with the western segment. But before it goes to construction, it'll come for the commission for
Okay.
a blessing, and then it moves on to construction.
Okay. And this
Thank
is, go ahead.
I like that there's going to be street parking. When you're downtown Gainesville, where I used to work at, the whole time, it might be just me, I was worried somebody was going to back out because they go all along the side of the road. So hopefully, it's going to slow some of that down then, because and that was the main purpose. That's really good.
Yeah, the whole idea is to ensure that, there's a lot of congestion already down there. We got 3 schools that use that area. You have the middle school in the far end on the east side. You have the elementary school, which is right there in the middle, and then you have the high school that's on the other end, and you have Countryway. So there's a lot of traffic in there. So the whole idea is to sort of eliminate a lot of that traffic, and you having those turning lanes will actually help with that bulk and backup that we have on that street. I mean, if you go out there in the mornings and the afternoons, it's a mess. And so the whole idea is to try to eliminate that and also give some through traffic. And then once we build that next segment that Commissioner Clark was talking about, that's going to give us some more access from both ends of the street, because right now there is no access over to 337. And so that will allow parents who are bringing their kids from that way not having to go around and then come back over.
And then get in line to get out on.
Yes.
Anything to slow those UPS drivers down.
Here's another segment of the design. This was done by JB Pro. And here's another segment that takes it over the County Road 337. Oops, I'm sorry. Okay. Here's a plan view, a section of going over to 337. And then finally, what we're also asking for here is this is also future development. This is on the other side of the railroad, between the railroad and US 27, State Road 45. This is what we're asking for, or would like to see FDOT include in future construction, which would be a traffic circle at the intersection of State Road 45 and Southwest 15th Avenue.
Have you had any discussion with FDOT regarding this?
That is what we're proposing to ask the commission to allow our city manager to draft a letter to them with this request.
They're aware,
Yes.
but nothing formal, and we'd like to transmit a letter suggesting that they incorporate something similar to this. I think it's less expensive for the citizens of Newberry to pay for conceptual rendering than it is to construct it.
Right.
So we're hoping FDOT will bear the big cost of construction, and we'll bear the little cost of coming up with a conceptual design.
Might
this,
take them 30 years to do it, but
This, Mr. Lowry, this conceptual design, though, looking at that, we had talked about straightening that road out. And with this looks like this would kind of alleviate us from trying to acquire any more of that green property to try to go through there. This would kind of push us over to the side, and you can keep what we have.
The traffic circle also helps with the misalignment that's there.
Right.
You can see how they jogged it right there at the
That's
end.
when we won't have to ask anybody for no more land or.
We have a very skilled design team that understands these well, and they came up with this design.
Yeah, this was designed by Sergio and Claudia, and with the help of Clay. And so, yes, you're right. It would be the second turn lane that goes out, and you won't have, and it jogs out that way. Okay.
so the curves also help with traffic calming too. People
Correct.
a little
Yes.
slower.
So again, the recommended action here is for the commission to approve design, to authorize the city manager to proceed with bidding the project as appropriate, and secondly, to authorize the city manager to transmit a letter to FDOT requesting inclusion of a traffic circle at State Road 45 Southwest 15th Avenue intersection with their next road improvement in the future. That's the end of my presentation. Any questions?
Yes. Okay, so is the speed limit going to stay the same on 15th Ave?
The current speed limit, I believe, is 20 miles an hour.
The only reason I asked is to go back to Coleman's, comment you made about downtown, because when you back up, it's kind of a blind side. It's one thing we're taught at UPS, blind sides, safety. So that's why I was asking about the speed limit.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, the design speed limit is 25 miles per hour. Does that mean the posted speed limit will be 25, or the posted speed limit will be 20, the design speed is 25?
Will we be able to take a left-hand turn coming out of the exit of the school?
Everybody but the UPS truck.
He's worried about his GPS clock telling him he's late.
Yeah, exactly.
Are there any other questions?
Yes.
No, sir.
Before I was so rudely interrupted. So sidewalks on M3 side, will they continue to go down all the way out to 337?
Correct.
And then go back to the rendering of the roundabout, the amazing roundabout, by the way, because I think that's a great idea. On the east side, going over to 15th Ave, I see that it has 2 lanes going and meeting into 15th Ave. Or is that just a median?
One is eastbound, the one on the bottom is eastbound, the one on the top is westbound. It's just the island that separates them that you see there.
Very nice presentation.
There's a nice,
very nice.
look in there deep, you'll find one.
Are there any other questions from the dais?
I thought that the speed limit for roads like that was 25, that couldn't be set at 20.
I believe we have an expert in the room that can expound on that.
Come on, man.
Well, I thought it was a state law, actually.
Or because of housing?
Sorry, where'd you see that?
Good evening, City Commissioner Sergio Reyes. The design speed is 25 miles per hour, but you said the posted speed. It can be less than 15 or it can be 20. That's up to the commissioner to set the posted speed.
Okay. No.
45.
That's what they're doing now.
Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
And just for the commission's information, the intersection at 337 with 15th proposes to have left-hand turns on all 4 directions, left-hand turn lanes. So when you approach 337 coming from the east or coming from the west, there'll be a left-hand turn lane. That's the intention. That's what the county has signaled to us they anticipate there, and that's what JB Pro is including in that intersection. There'll also be left-hand turn lanes on 337 onto 15th Avenue. And you'll see that design later in the spring. We anticipate that this will be ready for bid sometime springtime, and that it'll be bid over the summer with construction set to start shortly after bidding.
Right, I have a motion from the commission.
This one's off.
Move to approve, huh?
Second.
I have a motion second. Any comment from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Passes 4-0. All right, so item 12, legal services have been delayed until next meeting, and Mike New is back up for the schedule.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Each year, this time of year, we talk about our city commission meeting schedule. Usually the commission asks us to kind of do as much forecasting as we can. because if we're going to consider eliminating the second meeting in December, they want to know what business items might potentially be impacted by that. We waited a meeting later this year before we brought this item before you so that we could have that conversation. This year, the second meeting in December lands on Christmas Day, so staff thought it'd be a great idea to just have that meeting. But no, we have projected the business items that we think need to be taken care of by, looked at by the commission. You saw a heavy agenda tonight. We think we'll have a heavy agenda for the first meeting in November, for the second meeting in November as well. The December meeting right now the first meeting in December looks to be just a normal 8 to 10 item meeting, and we believe that we're going to be able to not have any business items that must be addressed for the second meeting in December. One of the things we would like the commission to consider, though, is we have a project and a planning, it's titled The Ranch. You guys are probably familiar, 4,500 homes, a little over 1,000 acres, maybe 1,500 acres, that is going to be heard, is planned to be heard by the commission at the first meeting in December. And staff believes, based on the turnout for the planning and zoning meeting and just the community chatter about that development, staff recommends that we have a special city commission meeting just to consider that. There'll be two land use items for consideration. There'll be no zoning item for consideration. So land use items are legislative, not quasi-judicial, but one is a text amendment to our comp plan, amending our comp plan to be consistent with something that we just need overall. And then there will be a future land use map adjustment by the applicant for the ranch, Mr. Norfleet. So staff proposes that we have our first meeting in December on December 11th, which is our normal scheduled day, and that we have our second meeting, a second meeting in December for the special meeting for this planning item, the ranch, on Tuesday, December the 12th, if the commission can make it. If that doesn't work, then we propose Wednesday, December 13th.
I'm okay with that, but I would like for all commissioners to be able to be present whatever day it is.
And so when we put it on your calendars, we'll put Commissioner Farnsworth said, you got to be there.
You got it.
The
mayor
pro tem said you got to be there. So, yeah, we will, we have 4 of you here tonight, so we can touch base with both Mayor Marlowe and Commissioner Martin encourage them to, let's pick a night that all 6 can be in attendance. We also plan to have a different meeting set up to handle an overflow crowd, which looks to be, we'll set up AV in the municipal building, and so folks can watch it on YouTube there, and if anybody wants to speak to an item, it's a short enough walk that they could come in, get in line, and they could comment on any part of the item. But hopefully between the city commission chambers and the municipal building, we'll be able to accommodate the crowd that we anticipate for that meeting. So November the 27th, and then December 11th, and then December the 12th or 13th, the commission's choice.
Don't put it in our phone yet.
Put it on the
Wait till you guys make a motion, and that's what we'll go for.
So it's November 27th, and what else?
December 11th is a regularly scheduled meeting, and then either the 12th or the 13th is staff's recommendation for a special meeting.
Either one's okay with me.
Let's just do them back to back and get it over with.
What time?
7 p.m. is our normal start time. That's what we propose.
Can you do it? Yeah.
All right. 12,
11 and 12.
12 at 7 p.m. Tuesday night. And we'll get it a calendar reminder pushed out to everyone, and get you some information ahead of time. These are legislative, so information ahead of time is fine. And is the commission acceptable with eliminating or not having the second meeting in December on Christmas Day?
I
I'm good
guess.
with it. I'm good with it, thank you.
Okay.
All right. Settled, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody out there, do you have any comments?
Yes, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I have plenty.
Nice.
Actually, I thought that 2023 was the city's best year for celebrating veterans. Our community really just, something was in the air, and our community was really veteran-focused this year. We had a great display at City Hall. We recognized some of our staff, and so just as I was around town, I thought it was Newberry's best ever recognition of our veterans, so I appreciate all veterans. We are going to be closed Thursday. Now, I don't have the date written down. What is Thanksgiving Day? Thursday, the 23rd for Thanksgiving. That's the only day that we'll be closing. Our staff, instead of working 10s that week, moves to 8s, so we'll be open Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, the week of Thanksgiving. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, that concludes my comments.
Thank you. City Attorney?
No comments?
Clerk?
No comment.
Commissioner Mazon? Nothing. Commissioner Coleman?
I think, Mark and the rest of them.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I didn't know there was that many of them. And I really appreciate the city doing that. And Preacher, that was a great presentation. With this COVID thing, I don't know that I've ever stood or sat in front of you on a presentation. Thank you, sir. That's all I got.
I just would like to say that, as always, we got a lot going on in the world. We've done a great stuff for our city. We're coming to a year's end, great year's end, I think. And I appreciate the staff recognizing as we did our dinner and all that was there. I appreciate that, and it was my pleasure. And I hope the rest of the guys feel the same way. I would like to say there's a lot of people deployed around the world. We got a lot of happening. We just lost 5 special ops guys the other day in a plane or helicopter crash. So as we sit here, they're providing the blanket of freedom for us right now and doing what they need to do. But, just pray for the world to heal right now and all the guys and girls that are deployed and what's going on.
Thanks, sir. I have nothing. Do you have anything?
Absolutely. I think tonight is a perfect night, too. Excuse me. So I know, right? I got the readers on. I'm getting old. I missed my, I guess it got moved. But what I wanted to say to our staff is you guys are amazing. Okay, I learned that when I went to EMO 2. And EMO 2, just real quick, the first day I went, it was an effective council technique, decision-making models, the media relations, growth management in Florida. And on the second day, it was advanced revenue and finances for cities, along with buildings for city teams, professional and labor issues. Now, I want to say this, there were 28 cities there, 28 other municipals there. And after hearing some of the issues that they were having within their city, it made me proud to be a Newberryan. It made me proud to have the staff that we have. Newberry is has its own unique form, to itself. Took some notes here. Our staff, is more connected to issues that are presented for consideration, as you know tonight, with Pastor Lowry, his great presentation that he had. Our staff provides background information and explains what are proposings and why. Our staff seems more professional and knowledgeable about issues than a lot of other cities that I saw at this EMO 2 conference. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I believe that our amazing top-notch staff is a vision, is a reflection of the commission that we have throughout the years before me coming here and me being here. And I don't believe that the city would accomplish as much as it does without a great commission and without a great staff and a leader like Mike. So I just wanted to say that tonight. I missed it at the beginning because I was working a little late, but I am proud to be a Newberryan in this city, and I am proud to be a part of your team, Mike, and I'm proud to be a part of this commission. That's all I have.
Thanks, sir. Any citizens' comments?
Hard to follow up.
Seeing none, adjourned.
Thank you, guys.